Kia ora everyone. Today I'd like to welcome Brendon McIntosh and Janel Atlas. Today they'll be talking about the concept of Ārahi and sharing what the Well Connected New Zealand project has learned from this concept in both a health and a community context.
Kia ora koutou. Ka piki te wai, ka hiki te ua, ka puta te puna, he rongoa. Ko hikiroro te mauka, ko wakawairi te awa, ko kati hui rapa ke puki te raki te marae, ko kaitahu te iwi, ko Brendon taku ingoa, a Māori pharmacist here in Christchurch, working for Kia Kaha Chemist, strengthening relationships to inspire Māori health. And I'm stoked to be a part of the Well Connected NZ team, as I feel community connectedness is something that has been lost in our modern day busy lives.
Kia ora, I'm Janel Atlas, a narrative worker and PhD candidate who works with how people tell stories about medical and health experiences. I joined the Well Connected NZ team in July of 2018 when I moved to Christchurch from the United States, and I have helped with interviewing, analyzing data, and writing up the stories that we've heard from across Christchurch.
So what does Ārahi mean? Well, literally, it translates to guiding post, or more of a navigation tool for wayfinding. Now, as Māori, we see ourselves as the supreme beings, especially due to the fact that our tipuna, our ancestors, navigated themselves from Hawaii across the Pacific Ocean to the place we call home today. And then in terms of modern day Ārahi, we are always looking to our elders, our kaumātua, for guidance, especially around specific areas and future plans for marae and iwi. But then we don't always listen to that advice, and we do what we think is best. This can be further highlighted in our communities, where we have many discussion and get advice and guidance from many different sources. But at the end of the day, we are pretty empowered people and end up just doing what we feel is right for us. Whether that has good or bad consequences, we soon find out. Now, applying this thinking to when Māori attempt to engage with our beast of a healthcare system, the concept of Ārahi has some merit. I've been working as a pharmacist for the last 6 years and have been on DHB governance boards, but even I don't know everything that our health system has to offer, let alone even how to utilise or engage with the services. It's similar to when you go out tramping up in the hills and you follow the posts with the orange markers on top. There's no specific track or path showing you where to walk, just the guiding posts that show you are heading in the right direction. I feel our health system is lacking some guiding posts, especially for Māori, which may explain our lower rates of engagement with the health system. Up in the hill, if you can't see the next orange guiding post, you feel lost. This relates to anyone trying to engage with our health system. If you can't see what way to go, or specifically what service to engage with, then you won't engage with anything. And Māori are funny when it comes to healthcare as well. We get a bit whakamā or shy talking about health issues, and we tend to bottle things up and carry on as if everything is okay.
So what we discovered on the Well Connected NZ project is that the Māori term of Ārahi is actually really central to the work that we're doing with the project. We came to the term Ārahi when we started analyzing the hundreds of hours of transcripts from hui, phono, focus groups, and group and individual interviews that we did with many different kinds of people across Christchurch. There were themes that we identified as really important, central to the people we spoke with. And we heard lots of stories that illustrated important concepts and represented findings that we wanted to then highlight and share.
One of the powerful stories came to us from a community champion who was a beautiful Samoan woman. It came time for her cervical smear, and instead of just sorting her own screening, she talked to women at her work and found out that several of them had some anxieties around the process. So she encouraged them, and they all went together.
Even as we listened to stories like that, we fell into an old model of reporting our findings. We wrote about them, calling them solutions. But then, when a couple of our team were in Scotland presenting our solutions to some Scottish researchers, the other researchers really challenged us. They pointed out that even the word solution takes a deficit approach to community. And by deficit-based, what I mean is problem-focused, asking what is missing, and positioning ourselves as holding the answers to a community need. Instead, we wanted to highlight the strengths of the people and the communities with which we'd engaged. And that's when I asked Brendon if he could delve into the rich soil of the Māori language to find a term that we could use.
Yes. So I went away and consulted with some reo experts asking for different terms. And one of my physio friends from first year uni, Kirsten, actually came up with the term, and the way she explained it resonated well with our project. So we ran with it. So I must give a shout out to Kirsten up in Tauwhara. Kia ora, Kirsten. Hope you and Taikaha are well. I guess it's funny that I discussed this concept with a fellow health professional, because I feel as healthcare workers we need to recognise that we should be the guiding posts for anyone we engage with. It is kind of a call to action for healthcare workers to investigate what other services are available in our local area. One easy way of doing this would be to use our Well-Connected NZ map. So it's obvious that our findings are going to help not only the greater community, but will also be a greater resource for the po Ārahi that are in the healthcare system. I guess you could say it's a guide for the guides.
So as Brendon shared already, po Ārahi can imply the right way or recommendations for navigating social connection and healthcare systems. One of the really beautiful things about the Māori term po Ārahi and how we use it as a metaphor for the learnings of this project is that as wayfinding markers or guideposts, they can actually take many different forms. As Brendon was just saying, an individual person, such as a healthcare worker, can serve as a guiding post or a wayfinding guide. But the other thing is that these wayfinding markers can take many different forms. It's not just an individual person. So these guideposts can be literal, such as a sign, a stand, or a plinth that shows people a certain way that they can go, that they can navigate their life using that piece of information. It can also be representational, like a map, so like the Well-Connected map. And then it also can be human, but not just healthcare workers. It can also be a community champion, someone who is not necessarily connected to the official healthcare system, but knows their community, knows who is struggling, knows who is maybe disconnected or missing out. Social connectors who coordinate across a local group, bringing people together with an eye for strengthening both individuals and their whānau. And then importantly, po Ārahi can also be figurative. Many of the findings of our project relate to certain values or principles or practices. So principles of care and compassion that emerged from the research, including, for example, the idea of the importance of both giving and receiving as a member of community. So all of those are wayfinding markers or guideposts for establishing, developing, and strengthening social connection with health and well-being as a secondary outcome. It's also important to note that po Ārahi are stable, but how an individual person reads them and chooses to follow or ignore them is contextual and is based on the individual's route. Where are they trying to go? What are they trying to gain? What direction do they want their life to take? And that they make those negotiations across both the natural and the built environment. People who are on their own journeys to well-being and social connection can pick and choose among the various guideposts along their way.
So we can actually think of ourselves and our actions as signs or supports for others. Instead of each individual person making a health decision for themselves, they can see their choices and actions as markers that others can see and navigate by. Getting the flu shot, attending an exercise class, reaching out to a neighbour, picking up trash along a waterway. These actions are not isolated and they aren't just personal. They are also po Ārahi, visible and public behaviours that can inspire others and help them navigate their own health and social connection journeys. Ngā mihi kia koutou. Thank you for listening. Ka kite.